Hi guys, welcome to Love and Info. How's everybody doing? Hope everybody's doing great. I hope everybody's doing their best, and if you're not, then I hope that you're loving yourself through it. Today's video, I'm really exhausted right now, but I wanted to come in here and tell you guys about my day and just kind of let you guys in my brain a little bit of what's going on. I've had a lot of anxiety today. I've had a lot of what I call those long days of brain rewiring, like working hard to think differently is fucking exhausting. Like mental health is fucking exhausting. Like, am I the only one? It's like fucking working out or something. Like you're just fucking exhausted at the end of working through your mental health. You know what I mean? Like I just Anyway, so to start, I'm going to tell you guys a little story that someone told me today. I went to visit Stepping Stones, which is the program that I was in today, and this lady there, one of the counselors, told me a story about how she used to go to these meetings in this place. I don't know what city she told me, where they used to make all those rockets. They go in all those asteroids or whatever they're called. They make them to go into space, like around the orbit, or to orbit the Earth and whatnot. And she was telling me how the people that work there that will come to her meetings, they were like NA meetings or something like that, that they would tell this story or this facts about how launching one of these asteroids into space, or one of these rockets into space, wasn't just launching it and programming like a path of like, okay, you're gonna go around the Earth 3 times and you're gonna take pictures and you're gonna take measurements or whatever and then come back. It was about constantly keeping them on track and constantly rerouting so they would stay where they needed to go. And that is the only way that they will successfully do what they needed to do and come back. So it wasn't just like programming it once and sending it out there and then expecting it to just do exactly what it was told for it to work out the whole way. And then, her and I were talking about how she herself was having one of those days where she felt like she was learning a lot that day, and she was feeling a little push on the edge from the universe and stuff. And one of her comments was like, "Oh, God must really love me," or my higher power, she called it, must really love me. And I was like, yeah, of course, whenever you're learning something and you're like on the edge, we'll just push a little more, just so you can really get it. And then she tells me this story, and I'm like, wow, that makes so much sense. And it's really funny because I wanted to get a compass tatted right here. So like I have We're All Stars right here, and I wanted to get a compass right here. And the reason why I wanted to get a compass was just to remind me like of the 4 elements, and to just like each element means something. Like each cardinal point is related to an element, and each element is related to a symbolism for like perhaps east as symbolism for air, which is a symbol of like logic and rationality and objectivity and stuff like that. So that was my whole reminder behind it. But then I'm like, wow, I want to get a compass so that I can remind myself why I'm always keeping myself on track. And it's days like this that this message really gets to me, because today was all about like thought processing. And to me, this is how thought processing goes. So like I get a thought, and then I realize the thought, and I'm like, okay, so is this thought like an obsession? Is it becoming an obsession for me? Is it my anxiety? Is it my insecurity? Am I tired? Am I sleepy? Am I hungry? Am I angry? I think it's called like hangry or hungry or something, or angry. I don't know. But anyway, like is any of those things? Is any of those things related? And then I try to go like identify the emotions behind it. Like, why am I feeling like that? Like if someone makes me angry, like perhaps if I walk into work and I'm a little on edge, someone's trying to teach me how to do something, like my manager was trying to teach me how to do something, and I'm usually very open for suggestions, and I'm like, dude, this just doesn't work, just let me do it, you know what I mean? Like, and he's like, okay, and in my head I'm like, okay, I was a bit hard on that, like I wonder what's going on with me, and then all of a sudden I start thinking about something completely unrelated. I'm like, someone outside of work, like, oh wow, this guy, like like he did this to me last week and I didn't like it. I wonder why he did that. I'm so angry at him right now. And I'm like, what the fuck is going on? Now, my usual self before that would have just completely got deep into that thought and just be angry at that one person that did that thing to me last week, or that I think is going to do something to me, and then I just get angry and paranoid, and then I just get deep into that, and then it's hard to get out of that after that. But now I try to like hold it in and be like, where the fuck is this coming from? And I'm like, okay, so perhaps today I'm like, okay, I identify the fact that I'm tired. I identify the fact that I'm going through this. I identify the fact that I'm a little hungry, that I'm a little irritated, that I haven't really had a lot of rest, like mentally. It's been a stressful day dealing with all my legal issues, dealing with my recovery, because I still go to programs and groups, and then I work, and I haven't really gave myself like a brain, like a full day off. And I'm like, okay, yeah, that's it. So now that I identified that the thoughts keep coming, that doesn't stop the fucking thoughts. That doesn't stop the anger. That doesn't stop the anxiety. That doesn't stop any of it. It just makes it easier for me to process it. And I feel like that fucking rocket who was programmed, like I was programmed, and like I'm programming myself, through all the knowledge that I've gained in the program that I was with, through all my therapy, through all the suggestions that people who have experienced all this before, I've been programmed for all that, but I constantly have to be rerouting myself. Constantly, and it gets so fucking tiring. But then every once in a while you get this serenity, and I'm like, okay, it's worth it, because I feel serenity. I feel like it's tiring, but it's not negative kind of tiring. It's like, at least I'm not freaking the fuck out. At least I'm not angry. At least I'm not resentful. At least I'm not creating more anger and resentment for things that are probably not even happening. Like my manager trying to teach me how to do something the right way. But it's so fucking, it's just exhausting, And then on top of that, I wanted to text this guy that I'm talking to, and I wanted to text him and be like, well, I want to text him and just kind of talk to him about what's going on with me. You know what I mean? Like, just tell him about that my day has been long today and this and that. But then I'm like, well, do you want to text him because of that? Or do you want to text him just so that you can think about something else, or that you can get validation, or that you can get some kind of like reassurance that you're worthy, or that you're this, or that you're that? I'm like, I question all of it. I still text him like, hey, I'm having a long day, blah, blah, blah. Like I need a day off, this and this and that. And in the meantime, like he was texting back, and I'm like, okay, good. Now, question yourself, Enrique. What is difference is it gonna make? What are you expecting out of him? Like your happiness is up to my happiness is up to me. Me feeling better is up to me. And then I'm like, yeah, but don't be so hard on yourself. It does help to talk about it, And I came home and I talked about it with my roommate and all that. But in the meantime, I was proud of myself, because it felt good to not depend on them to fix it for me like I usually would. I usually would depend on this kind of attention to try to fix it, but it wouldn't fix it. It would just leave a bigger hole, because it would just leave me asking for more and more and more and more and more, So like that was my fucking day today, And something really funny happened too. I recognized my anxiety. Like I read this thing today, like that said, you're worthy, you're beautiful, you're worthy of love, you're loved, you're all these beautiful affirmations. And then at the end it says, when you feel that you're not, that's just your anxiety talking to you. And I started thinking about my anxiety, and I'm like, where does my anxiety come from? I was like, I created my anxiety. And my anxiety is attached to all of this, insecurities and unworthiness and this, and that's because that's all it knows. It might have been a product of how I was raised. It might have been a product, let's say it is a product of how I was raised. It is a product of how I was brought up. It is a product of all of this kind of stuff. But now that I'm made aware of this and how it is, like, I am an adult now who loves itself, and I'm willing to love my anxiety. And I was like, oh my God, my anxiety is a neglected child who's throwing a tantrum because that's all it knows. And whenever I feel any kind of way, this little child who is my anxiety inside of me, I feel that like this is all that I'm thinking in my head to myself, so that I can process not my emotions, that I can process my thought, at that moment, like just to save my fucking sanity at that point, And I'm like, oh my God, my anxiety is just neglected. My anxiety is throwing a tantrum because my body is tired, because I'm going through a lot right now. And that is how it's used to reacting. Like right now I need a lot of fucking love. and I have to give it to myself. So now I created the anxiety as a persona in my head, and I'm like, dude, it's okay. Like, I'm gonna take care of you, and you're gonna be okay, and you are worthy, and you are this, and you. And it just made me feel better, you know. Anyway, you guys, I'll make a video later about how I name all the voices in my head and what they are, and what, you know, the voices in my head mean my thoughts and where all these thoughts come from. Anyway, I love you guys. We're all stars, so let's shine like one. Bye.